everyone to the Women Are Worthy show. Now, we want you to join our tribe. So if you join our tribe, you got to subscribe. I came up with that one. And joining our tribe, you have to basically like us on the Women Are Worthy show on Facebook, the Women Are Worthy show on Instagram, and our YouTube channel. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. It's the Women Are Worthy Network. Now, for those of you that don't know, October is Domestic Awareness Month. We have Lady J, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her because this woman is phenomenal. She's an author, a youth and family mentor, a speaker, life transformation and business coach. Hold on, I got to drink some water because this woman is a jack of all trades. She's a media personality and a phenomenal woman, as I stated before. She is the definition of what it means to bounce back after multiple traumas and overcoming life hardships that seems impossible. Now, she's overcome challenges that are not limited to domestic violence, rape, multiple suicide attempts, a fatal brain aneurysm, and much more. She's accomplished all of this, overcome all of this. Her education and life experiences has given her a powerful and unique set of tools to help others to conquer the impossible. So when you're looking for someone and you're sitting with someone and they're trying to guide you through life and they have not gone through anything, you at least know with this woman, she's gone through hell and back. We want to welcome Lady J. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Well, Lady J, as I said, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I want to talk to you about what you've gone through because right now we're in a pandemic, as you know, and people get depressed. You've survived suicide attempts. And I want to talk about all of this, if we can get this on under an hour, because you have so much. You are definitely the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the one who inspires hope. Because when I read your bio, I had respect for you before, but when I read your bio, baby, ain't nothing 2020 gonna throw at me that I cannot catch and rebound. So can you tell us a little bit about your life, what you've gone through, because you are an amazing woman. You're an amazing light, my beautiful queen.
Well, thank you for that. I do appreciate it, but I definitely cannot take the credit because I don't even know how I made it to this point. All I can say it was nobody but God. That's it. So I'll just give a quick summary because it's so much that we probably won't get in an hour. But starting out, I was raised in a domestic violence atmosphere. My mother and father fought all the time. It was a drug infested household. My father was addicted to drugs. My mother was on drugs, alcoholic, all of that. So I lived in like a war zone growing up. By the time I was about 5 years old, I was fatherless. So my father wasn't in my life once my mother left my father. And from then on, I experienced, being molested at the age of 11. I was raped at 15. My mother, she dropped me off at one of the government facilities here and left me there because I was trying to protect my siblings. I was living in a household with a violent registered sex offender that my mother married. And, the household continued to be violent verbally, sexually, all of that. And so I became homeless at 15. And then I tried to commit suicide for the first time at the age of 14. And then I tried two more times by the time I was 15, overdosing on pills, stabbing myself in the stomach with a knife, and drinking cleaning fluid. And then at 16, I was kidnapped and raped. At 17, I met my first husband. I stayed with him for 5 years. We have two children. And I tried to commit suicide for the last time with slitting my wrists. And that was a very tumultuous situation. So I went into that looking for a savior, and it ended up being even worse. So it was trauma on top of trauma, on top of trauma, on top of trauma. And I had to make the decision to get me together and understand that killing myself was not something that God was going to allow me to do. So my children became our reason to live. And I started the journey of literally allowing Him to help me pick up the pieces and start building my life. And over the course of time, I've been in some other domestic violence relationships. The cycle repeated itself, and I had to decide, hey, these are some of the cycles that I have to break so my daughters and my sons won't be subjected to this. I was diagnosed with a severe case of endometriosis at the age of 15. They said I wouldn't be able to have children. So my children are definitely miracle babies. I was in and out of the hospital, surgeries, and things of that sort. And then became addicted to narcotics. Specifically, Vicodin was my drug of choice. It just helped numb the pain, not being fatherless, being motherless, dealing with, you know, all of this depression. I never got any help for, no one ever came to my rescue until, it was too late. And so after all of those years in 2010, I decided to start writing my book and writing my life story, life support. That was very therapeutic for me. And God wanted me to release it then, but I couldn't. I was so worried about what people were going to say, what they were going to think. And so I waited 5 years to release the story. It's a 3-part series. So, and I also launched my first business, which was a nonprofit of serving the homeless community, because that was something that I knew. And I just have a heart for, those who are less fortunate. So I also started the program to getting my first degree in business management. And then right after I finished that program, I went right into my next degree program, which was a degree in bachelor's in psychology. And since then, I've built a multimedia brand company consisting of a radio station, a digital interactive magazine, and a television channel, Roku. And I also have a life coaching and mentoring company, life support company, that serves young people and their families, those who are considered unreachable and are at risk. And so it's kind of an out of the box type program, not your typical, mentoring and life coaching company and program. And then last year, 2019, August 22nd, I suffered a ruptured brain aneurysm, and I wasn't expected to live. Thank God I'm still here. And here we are. So I am in the process now of still rehab. So I'm a whole lot farther than I was before. And I just try to use my story, my experiences, that was just the summary, experiences to
Listen,
help other people.
listen, okay. Woo! Can I say woo? Okay. Because you've had so much, from rape to domestic abuse to being homeless, and then suffering a brain aneurysm. If that's not the comeback kid, I don't know what. I wrote, God be the glory. God be the glory. Hallelujah. Praise God. We're going to have some church up in here tonight. Okay. I'm pausing because I'm just listening to it's just processing, because it happened to you. So it's just rolling off your tongue. Slow down, my sister, because this is a lot to unpack and impact. You see what I'm saying? I got to write that down. I like that.
Yes.
I'm gonna use that as a training tool. But
Yes.
to see that you've gone through this, now I want to bring this back because so many people are going through so much. Like you, I mentor young kids. What advice would you give someone who feels like they're hopeless? There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no one there to help them, no one there to support them. What advice would you give that person out there right now? Because people are worried about the stimulus package, because that's a matter of them being out of their homes or not. They're waiting on this money coming in for unemployment, that additional $600 that makes a difference for them being in the house or not. What advice would you give someone?
So this is what I would say, and I have to speak not just from a physical perspective, but also a spiritual perspective,
Right.
because that is the only way that I have been kept, and there is no other way to explain it or go around it. I would say first, we have to stop making permanent decisions based on temporary circumstances. You are never going to be happy all the time. Life is not meant for you to experience the good 24/7. The challenges and the trials and the hardships and the traumas that we face are meant to help us grow in a lot of different areas. And it's not meant just for you. It's going to be used for you to help somebody else that is going to experience the very same thing. Now, when you are in a state of hopelessness and you feel defeated, or you are severely depressed, or something like that, that is understandable, because we are human, we have emotions, those things are going to impact us. But at the same time, we have to remember and understand that this is temporary. We're just passing through. This is a transition, on the way. And granted, there are things that happen to us that we, did not bring about on ourselves, but we have to understand that this is going to be a tool, and we may not understand it while we're in it. It may not feel good while you're in it. It doesn't look good, but it is necessary. It's a choice to choose to keep moving forward, but it's also a choice to understand that moving forward means this is not going to be easy. I tell people all the time, you look at me, I know I don't look like everything that I've gone through, but you have no idea. I don't care if you have to claw your way through it, crawl your way through it. You have to get through it, but you're going to have to do the work, and nobody can do that for you. There are people that God is going to allow for you to cross paths with, that is going to help you along the way, that's going to share some tools, going to share some resources for you. And as far as this pandemic and things of that sort, listen, I was not able to do anything. I couldn't take care of my kids. I couldn't even take care of myself. I couldn't wipe my own behind, feed myself, nothing. So that responsibility fell on the people around me, and thank God that they were in a position where they were able to work together and get it done. I have been homeless. When I was homeless at 15. I was homeless 3 times as an adult with children. And every single time, yes, I've had to sleep in my car some nights, but my children never went without food. I never had to sleep under a bridge. And I thank God for that. We have to get to the point where we are not just reaching out for resources, because there are those of us who are very prideful that don't like asking for help. And I'm not going to lie, I'm one of them. But we also have to be receptive of those things. When you are in a place where you understand who you are, and you understand that this process of growth and healing and forgiveness is something that you're going to have to do your entire life. You get better at it the more you have to do it. And so when you are in that space where you understand who you are and what you possess, and then you'll be more open to doing whatever it takes by any means necessary to provide for yourself and your family, and you won't be depending upon the government and things of that sort. And then you start to realize the things that are really important. When you have a near-death experience, you start to realize the things that are very important, like, setting your family up financially, your credit and things of that sort. All of these things are necessary for you to sustain yourself and your family financially. So no matter what is going on around you, you are still being kept. And really, as long as you are doing your part, God will do the rest. And that's just it.
I definitely agree with you on that because, I experienced being homeless as a teenager and I've gone through some stuff. So I understand what you're saying. But now it seems like people are entitled and they don't understand what they have. Because, right now it's like, gimme, 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 gimme. We're a microwavable society. Things are so disposable. And the pandemic, whether people realize this or not, yes, although it's bad, it's a restart. It's a reset for some of us where what's priority? Is that bag a priority? Is getting my nails done every week? What's priority? And so it either makes you or break you. That's what this pandemic has taught me. It's either going to make you or break you, your family,
Right.
you, yourself. So as a young girl, when you got raped, and I'm bringing this up because we're starting to see so many young girls being raped, and usually in our community, we don't talk about stuff like that. Whatever stays in the family. And
Yep.
I'm here. I created this platform because I wanted it to be a platform where not only do we empower, we embrace, and we build character, we're also motivating the souls. Because I believe, the spirit is what we need to get to. The exterior is fine, but it's the interior we need to work with. We're not here to judge anyone. We're here
Right.
to love you. That's what I'm here to do. If you're a positive poly, I'm willing to work with you. I can't work with negative Nellies. I'm here to work with you if you're en route to being positive. So it just seems like the pandemic, as Miss Wilburn said, the pandemic has uncovered some things. It sure
Yes.
has. And
Yes.
I know other than the deaths, the pandemic has opened up the eyes for those people who thought that they were woke or whatever. It has really
Mhm.
opened up our eyes. It's great you can be woke to the Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff, but what about being woke in your family and in your truth?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because in the Black community, we don't talk about what goes on in the church. We don't talk about what goes on in our
Mhm.
household. Daddy could be raping you, uncle could be raping you, and we're not saying anything because, shh, don't tell nobody what goes on in this house. And then you
That's
carry
right.
that guilt. So,
Mhm.
what made you feel that when was the right time that you felt comfortable, and what made you feel comfortable to say, you know what, I'm shedding that skin and I'm going to talk about it?
I think because when I was younger, I tried telling people, nobody would listen. Everybody called me a liar. They said, "Oh, your mama's not doing that. She's not allowing that to happen, and this is not happening." And it just angered me so much. And when I was a very little girl, I think maybe 3 or 4, my grandmother, she started to teach me about the Bible and God. She would read to me, she would explain the scriptures to me, answer my questions. And so that seed within itself, I think it cultivated and grew something in me that would not allow me to accept certain types of treatment, and no matter who it was. I knew it was wrong, and so, and I was kept being silenced by everybody, saying not to say this, not to say. I wasn't allowed to talk about the things that happened to me. I was, told, it's nobody's business. And at the same time, I didn't get any help. No, nobody addressed that, and it just continued to eat me alive from the inside. I mean, I'm a kid, and this is just, trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma. And so I decided that once I had the last episode, I want to say I was maybe 21 or 22. My oldest son and daughter was a year and 6 months, and I had reached my boiling point when it came to this marriage, and so I needed a way out, and I felt like I could not. No other way out, was but to kill myself. I was isolated from everyone. I wasn't allowed to talk to people. I was stayed, locked in the house. My car was taken, everything. I was isolated from everyone, and I just endured so much, verbal, mental, emotional, and then in the end, physical abuse, and it was just ridiculous. And so I decided that I was going to slit my wrists. When I spent the 24 hours on the psych floor at Wisher Hospital, God spoke to me. He was like, "Hey, little girl, I told you no. You keep trying this, and I keep telling you no. So you need to decide, what are you going to do? Either you're going to do what I want you to do. You either going to go kicking and screaming, or you can go, peacefully." And so, and then the question came up, is this the life that you really want for your kids? Do you really want them to be subject to the same things and the same treatment that you are? Is this how you want to leave them? And so that moment became my moment to say, okay, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to, go through whatever it is I need to go through in order to get over all this and heal from all this. It just seemed impossible. It did, from childhood on up to that point.
Mhm.
I didn't have nobody to teach me, nobody showed me anything, So, and I did. I checked myself into a program in a church that I was going to, a 12-step program for people who had survived sexual abuse. That was my first step. And and I was just grasping for help anywhere that I could find it, and at the same time developing a relationship with God, because yes, I knew God, but it's one thing to know of him, it's another thing to know him for yourself. So I had to start developing a relationship with him, and once I started to do that, he began to show me things about me that I needed to address, and he began to show me things about me that he placed in me, purpose, what my purpose was. And so I decided to let him work on me, work in me, and then I started to take the necessary steps I needed and the advice that I needed from different people that he was sending my way to help me through this and then help me through that. And yes, I relapsed, back into some
Mhm.
things. I fell down a lot, but each time I got back up, I was determined. Like, okay, I don't have my mother, I don't have my father, I don't have a lot of, I don't have that. And so I decided I took on the family that God created for me, those that he placed in my life, that he said, okay, now this person right here is fulfilling the role of mother. This person right here is fulfilling the role of your sister. This person right here is your spiritual advisor. That's what I started to do. So I started to embrace those people, and I did not take it for granted, because I understood when people say, God is a healer, God is a keeper, God is a heart fixer. We don't realize that he does those things through other people. So if you want to experience him as a healer, you have to first get sick. Otherwise, you won't know him as that. If you want to experience him as a provider, then you have to be without the resources and the funds to pay a bill, like in this pandemic, and allow him to make a way out of no way. Now you can say you know him for yourself in that. And
I
so once
That's true.